guess in some way we are products of the Holocaust. So
Judaism changed dramatically after the Holocaust, and we are, as young Jewish people, products of that.
you know, it's our grandparents or our great-grandparents or relatives that the Holocaust, you know, impacted upon. We grew up with it.
Which may sound quite bizarre, but the fact that all these people at some point in the next 20 years will pass away. And then it's, how do we teach the Holocaust without eyewitnesses? You know, that's the tricky task. And the number of survivors is so dramatically decreasing, we don't see it all the time. So when you do see it, it's a rarity, and all these people at home will not ever have seen one, and probably will never see one. The work needs to be done on the ground. That I think is the most important. People that don't get an opportunity to go to Auschwitz need the education, and it needs to be done in a specific manner. That's the area I think we're interested in.
All starts in September of 2011.
I used to work for the UJA, which is the United Jewish Israel Appeal. I worked there for 5 years, and I led Jared. I took Jared with other people to Poland, and then they were planning a trip to Poland just for the Glasgow youth for September 2011. And when we were there, we had an amazing experience, and we thought, you know what, let's come back and do it properly. So it's all kind of snowballed. It didn't start out as this at the start.
No.
It was just us going to learn.
Yeah. And then it developed, it grew arms and legs quite definitely. The documentary idea came about 2 weeks before we left to go on our trip. It was a suggestion by one of our friends' fathers. And we just jumped in the idea, you know, absolutely what a fantastic way to document. Because originally we were just going to be doing a casual blog and maybe coming back and writing a book about the experience and writing some form of a seminar, like a booklet. But now, you know, it's turning into this fantastic idea, this documentary, and loads of people have been interested.
And the whole thing is amateur.
Yeah, I mean, we're amateurs,
we're filmmakers.
Our background is in filmmaking, so it's just picking up the techniques and experience along the way.
And we were told to do a blog, and we were going to, we thought, okay, people keep saying do a blog so we can follow, and then so we decided to do a blog, and we've had nearly 5,000 views in a month, which is kind of amazing. But then it's interesting that people are interested, and that people we don't even know are liking the page and sending us emails, which is cool. It's like a cool experience. Even if nothing else comes from it, it's a cool thing, I think.
For me, whenever I do hear from survivors, it's still a very, very harrowing thing to hear. You know, you read about it, you talk about it, but it's one thing intellectualizing something, but then actually going to see things and hear things firsthand for someone who's been there, it's a completely different experience. And you can see it in their eyes, you can hear it from their voice, and you can feel that. And it's very, very different, and you still feel that sense of, it's unbelievable. It's awful what's happened, and it literally is unbelievable. And they went through that, and it's so sad.
For us, the Holocaust is the gas chambers. But you have to take a step back and say, okay, then there was the transports, then there was the ghettos, then there was the Yellow Star, before that was a humiliation. Every level would have had an emotional trauma on these people. It's not just gas chambers, it's not all the Holocaust was. There was so much more. It was the separation, the ruining of people's lives. And also for us, these people are old people. You know, it's like they're kind of small, they're weak, and you can't imagine anyone doing anything like that to them. Today, speaking to Marta Marmon was really hard because she showed us her tattoo, which no one else has done.
And it was like a spike. It was, I can't really explain how that felt to see, but it was like a shock to the system.
Because again, it's mythical. These places like Auschwitz are like myths to us. You know, Auschwitz, the tower, the watchtower, the Arbeit frei, whatever, it's like a myth. And it's not a myth, they were there, they arrived in trains. The confirmation that happened to real people is unbelievable. These aren't far off mythical creatures that this happened to, they're people just like us. Just like us. They may be older, they may speak a different language, but they're just like us.
They've gone through such tragic events, such horror, they've seen so much. I don't understand that. Again, we've never been in that position before, that predicament. thank God no one will ever will again.
Prejudice, we believe, is a story, and it has different stages, but the Holocaust could never have happened without 1,000 years worth of anti-Semitism. If the Jewish people in 1940 didn't have the same rights, then of course the Hungarians would think that they were less than, because legally they were. It is made into a Jewish tragedy. Well, that is not the case. It's a human tragedy. So how can, if you say to a non-Jewish kid, okay, look what happened to Jewish people, they'll be like, well, I'm not Jewish. And that happened to Jewish people specifically. Well, no, what happened to gay people and gypsy people and Catholics and whoever else. It's a human tragedy, and that's the most important message that needs to be driven home. I think people are aware. People could be more aware. Young kids in America who are gay are killing themselves because of the way they're made to feel by their teachers. That is the same. It's not a Holocaust, because the Holocaust is a unique event in history, but it's prejudice, and absolutely it will happen again, and it has happened. Every 5 minutes we hear about this group of people being murdered, that group of people being murdered, this group of people being persecuted. All over the place, in different ways. It will happen again.
Maybe not to the same level, maybe not to the Jews, and maybe not people being herded into gas chambers, but that's the problem right there. People think that people are not being herded into gas chambers, then it's not the same. But death and murder, for racial hatred in terms of prejudice, that's absolutely the same. But we strongly believe that, you know what, if this may be an innate part of human behaviour to hate one another, why can't we educate ourselves out of that?
You can say, oh, the Jews do this, and the Jews do that, or say you don't know anyone who's gay, or the gays do this, or gay people like that. It's very easy to say that when you don't know anyone, but when you have a face, a human face of the people you're just insulting, it's very hard to separate them from that group. And it's about interaction, education, and it has to come from both sides. Those groups have to be open and willing to work with the wider community, because like it or not, they are the minority. Human beings have the capacity for both good and evil, and it's about not educating people out of something, but it's about getting people to understand what they're capable of and understand that they have choices to make. The only thing that separates us from the Nazis are the choices that we have made. It's nerve-wracking for us because you're going to somebody's house that we've never met. We don't really speak the same language, and you're asking them to recall the darkest period of their life. Ask them to remember the times when they last saw their parents or their loved ones. To sit across from an old lady who is telling you the last time that she ever saw her father or her mother is horrendous. All you think about is your mum and dad, or your family, or your loved ones, and you just think, God, it's very moving. But they've been so welcoming and so lovely, and they've seemed really warm to us specifically, because maybe we're young and they want the stories to be passed on, but they've been fantastic. It's really nice. It's nice to see also that they have lives and they're not necessarily still living in the horrors of the past. That they've had a life, they got married, they had children. It's really nice. It'd be nice for the survivors for us to come back, and not because we're super awesome, but it'd be nice for people to come back just to spend time with them and not be asking continuously about their stories, Meet new people, make new friends, that kind of thing. Just see them, see how they are. Financially, it has crippled us. We'll go back with pretty much nothing, but it doesn't feel like we've wasted it, because even if nothing comes from this documentary and the blog gets finished and it's all done, it's an amazing experience. We've gone away to these other countries, we've learned how to make a film, we've interviewed Holocaust survivors, we've seen all these things for ourselves, so it's been a massive learning experience. People who watch our documentary have to know. They have to know what happened. It happened to real people, and they need to appreciate what they have and not to just discard love. And start thinking. Actually that's the most important thing. Think. Looking inside yourself, asking yourself, what part do you play in this story of prejudice? How do you impact in the world around you? What choices do you make every day? What things do you do? What choices do you make without even realising that you just made them? and think about that.
Absolutely.
Think.
I love that.